How you doing, YouTube? Matt, Massive Beer Reviews, back with a little bit of sour jams in the form of Dancing Gnomes _plum. This comes courtesy of Brian. Thank you very much, brother. He sent me off a box of Philly-ish area goodness. Dancing Gnome, Pittsburgh, close enough to Philly. It's really far away, but close enough. And kind of excited to give this one a whirl. He sent this one off with a little bit of a note going, be a little bit gentle on this one. This was canned just before Christmas, but you know, it's a sour. It's aggressively hopped, I believe. But we're going to drink it otherwise. So keep in mind during the review, we're talking about something that was just before Christmas canned. Yeah. _plum. 4% alcohol by volume, sour ale. Done and done. I've always really dug on Dancing Gnome's can art. Plus, they give you a nice little black pull tab there. A little added deliciousness. So you can see that it looks like exploding, full of delicious, frothy goodness. So I assume there's plum in here. I mean, it's called plum. Oh, good God. That is foaming. I saw it foaming in the can, but I didn't think it would kind of translate that much into the beer. So we might have a little bit of conversation in front of this before I can actually dive into this sucker. Anyway, so yeah, it's a plum-based beer, and that's kind of why Brian sent this off to me. He was like, man, I know you enjoy plum-flavored things, so I figured I'd send this off. He's like, even though it has a little bit of time on it. He said a friend drank it not too long ago, and it was still drinking quite well. But, I mean, from the pour I have, 4 fingers, 4, not 2 Utah, 4 fingers of pillowy creaminess. That's probably, I assume it's extra fermentation in the can. I mean, it's been cold. I assume that Brian kept the cold the whole time, and then it kind of maybe got a little bit heated and then cooled down when I got it. He didn't transfer. Not hot, but, above like 40, 50 degrees. And just maybe a little bit of secondary fermentation. We'll see. Let's get that big, rich, kind of just south of strawberry, quick looking head. And at the bottom, it just looks like a big, huge, rich, kind of fruited beer. I mean, it has that rich plum fleshiness to it. It's not that plum skinniness, but it's got that nice plum fleshiness going on. So, yeah, looks the part of a fruited beer. Plum, or maybe a couple other things. So, we'll see if we can get a nose on this. This is pretty dense stuff, so I'm going to snort some foam for you guys. I did it right there. Just totally foam up in there. I can't get much of a nose off of it, honestly. I don't know if the beer is positive or negative. And I'm going to tell you right now, the note I get nose-wise off this is like lunch meat bologna. That's not a desirable kind of note when it comes to this, but it could just be the way this head is. Everything's kind of sitting on top of here. It's probably not giving me the proper nose because of how much foam's going on in this. Yeah, it's got this weird kind of like savory lunch meat thing going on. It could be a seed thing from plum. It could be the beer going a little bit sideways because of its age and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not really getting much as far as a fruity nose on this. Yeah, just a little bit of like almost like a savory nose to it. It's very bizarre. Really not much to it. Nothing now would be like, oh man, this is going to smell really good. I'm interested, but more in a kind of weird way about it. So let's just pour a little bit more in there. Let's see if I can get actually nose off this can. Yeah, it's much the same. So what I think I'm getting on this is not so much an actual like lunch meat vibe. I think I'm getting an unsweetened, very unsweetened kind of jammy thing. So if you were to take like a really underripened fruit and kind of try to preserve it, try to jam it, that's kind of what I think I'm getting off the nose. I know that's very far disconnected from like lunch meat, but when you're talking about an unripened fruit flesh, to me that comes off way more savory than sweet, and the sweetness comes with the ripening of the fruit, so that's kind of where I think I'm landing on this one. Yeah. Soft, almost savory plum fleshiness. Let's go there. Let's dive in. Cheers. Okay, first things first. Does not taste like lunch meat. That's pretty fucking awesome. It actually tastes really good. Is it plumerific? Because that's a word. It's definitely plum driven. There's this nice bitterness to it. There's a thinness to the mouthfeel that actually is a positive for this. Not that it's thin, but it's lower ABV. And since it is a sour, more in kind of kettle sour kind of realm, that thinness where it's not thick or chewy kind of, I think, is a positive, lends to its drinkability. The plumminess on it does come off unripened. It comes off not savory. It doesn't come off lunch meat like. That's totally a nose thing I was getting on it. And I still continue to get on almost like a slight rubbery latex kind of thing. That's how that's kind of coming off to me. But in the taste, it's totally not there. It's a slightly unripened kind of plum fruit fleshiness. Like with the seeds involved. Like you didn't strip it. You left the skin on. You left the stems on. Left the seeds in there. There's a pit in a plum, I know that. That's what I'm kind of trying to say. All the bits and pieces of the plum together. And you threw it in. And you kind of just let it do its thing on all bits and pieces of the fruit. And not trying to just impart that kind of over-the-top, super sweetened kind of fruit fleshiness. I kind of dig that. I like this beer. It's probably the most Jekyll and Hyde beer I've ever had, because it's probably one of the most poopiest noses I've had in a while. Listen, lunch meat. I like lunch meat. I actually eat lunch meat. A lot of people don't. Nitrates, a whole bunch of weird shit. Not for everybody, but I eat it, and I like it. So you'd be like, why don't you like this? It smells like lunch meat. Well, it's not necessarily something you want to get in beer. It's kind of like diacetyl in beer. It's like, it tastes like butter, it smells like butter, and be like, beer, everybody loves fucking butter. Why don't we like it in beer? It's that kind of thing going on. So while the nose is definitely not a positive for this beer, I really enjoy the taste. It's more of a generic fruitiness than an overt huge plumminess, but I get the plum. It leans toward plum. It's not heavily plum. It's an unripened fruitiness, fleshiness, stone fruitiness, outside of the peach kind of variety, and I dig it. I like it. It's sour enough for me to kind of get excited about it being a sour, but definitely not even close anywhere to being overly acidic. It's just a sour apple plum with a really poopy nose, but a really tasty mouthfeel. I don't even know what else to say about it other than I kind of dig it. Yeah, other than that, yeah, I think it's tasty. So, I mean, for the sake of research, Dancing Gnome, for whatever this guy's words that tumble out of his mouth are worth, you made a pretty good beer. I mean, the nose didn't go well over the months, but it's held up pretty good, and that's pretty awesome for 4% sour in a can. Anyway, let's just cut this short because I've been rambling way too long. Is it one of the better lower ABV sour beers that I've had as of late? It's a weird one. I kind of want to put it in for the taste, kind of want to keep it out for the nose. It's an interesting beer, which more times than not is a super bonus for me, so take that for what it's worth. Value and availability, no idea. Maybe Brian or somebody out Pittsburgh way can let us know what's what when it comes to the whole beer portion of the show as far as Dancing Gnome and our availability, and leave you with, if you like what we like this. If you like lunch meat in the nose, you like plums in the taste. If you like fruited sours, if you like those kind of answer juice crowlers or the tasties, but you think those come off a little bit too sweet, a little bit too Jamba Juicy kind of fruit smoothie-ish, and you want something in that realm, you want something a little bit more drinkable and definitely fresh fruit forward. I didn't even talk about how organic it tastes. It doesn't taste like a confectionery thing. This is gonna work for you, and don't smell it too much, at least when it's old. There you go, another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully enjoying a nice little plum jammer right now, and hopefully see you next time. Cheers.